TV soap news and spoilers say that in the quiet, idyllic town of Willow Creek, nestled between rolling hills and whispering pines, a story of profound mystery and heart-wrenching revelation was about to unfold. The lives of twins Tyrell and Samantha, two vibrant souls raised in the loving embrace of their adoptive parents, Martin and Smith, were on the cusp of a seismic shift. For years, the twins had lived unaware of the intricate web of secrets surrounding their origins, but the arrival of Naomi and Jacob, two relentless investigators with a penchant for uncovering hidden truths, was about to change everything. What began as a routine inquiry into the twins' past would soon spiral into a dramatic saga of discovery, betrayal, and reunion, leaving everyone involved grappling with emotions they never anticipated. The twins. Tyrell and Samantha were the epitome of youthful exuberance. At 22, they were fraternal twins with distinct personalities that complemented each other like the sun and moon. Tyrell, with his sharp wit and infectious laugh, had a knack for turning any moment into an adventure. His dark eyes sparkled with curiosity, and his love for sketching intricate landscapes reflected his introspective nature. Samantha, on the other hand, was the dreamer, her auburn hair catching the light as she spun tales of fantasy and wonder. She was a writer, her notebooks filled with stories of far-off lands and heroic quests, each one a reflection of her boundless imagination. Raised by Martin and Smith, a devoted couple who had adopted the twins as infants, Tyrell and Samantha had grown up in a home filled with warmth and stability. Martin, a soft-spoken history professor with a passion for ancient civilizations, and Smith, a jovial carpenter whose hands crafted furniture as beautiful as his heart, had provided the twins with a life of love and opportunity. Yet, despite their idyllic upbringing, a shadow lingered in the background, a question mark surrounding the twins' biological origins. Martin and Smith had always been open about the adoption, but the details of their birth parents remained a mystery, locked away in sealed records and whispered rumors. The arrival of Naomi and Jacob. The story took a dramatic turn on a crisp autumn afternoon when Naomi and Jacob arrived in Willow Creek. Naomi, a private investigator with a reputation for unraveling even the most convoluted cases, had a steely determination in her eyes. Her partner, Jacob, was a genealogist whose obsession with family histories bordered on the poetic. Together, they had been hired by an anonymous client to investigate the origins of Tyrell and Samantha, a task that had led them down a labyrinth of clues, dead ends, and startling revelations. Their journey had begun months earlier, sparked by a cryptic letter sent to their agency. The letter, written in elegant cursive, contained only a single request. Find the truth about the twins of Willow Creek. Intrigued by the mystery, Naomi and Jacob had plunged into the case with fervor, combing through adoption records, interviewing social workers, and tracing faint threads of evidence that seemed to vanish into thin air. Their search had led them to a name, June. The enigma of June was a name that carried weight in Willow Creek, though few spoke of her openly. In her youth, she had been a figure of intrigue. A woman of striking beauty and quiet intensity, whose life had been marked by tragedy and loss. Rumors swirled that June had once been a promising artist, her paintings capturing the raw beauty of the human spirit. But her life had taken a darker turn, marred by a series of misfortunes that culminated in her disappearance from the town nearly 2 decades ago. Some said she had fled to escape heartbreak, others whispered of a scandal that had driven her away. Whatever the truth, June had become a ghost in Willow Creek, a name spoken in hushed tones. Naomi and Jacob's investigation had uncovered a startling piece of evidence, a faded hospital record from 22 years ago, listing June as the mother of twins born on a stormy night in October. The record was incomplete, with no mention of the father or the fate of the children, but it was enough to ignite a spark of hope. Could June be the biological mother of Tyrell and Samantha? And if so, why had she given them up? The questions gnawed at Naomi and Jacob, driving them to seek answers with renewed urgency. The revelation on that fateful autumn day, Naomi and Jacob arrived at the cozy, ivy-covered home of Martin and Smith. The air was thick with anticipation as they sat in the living room, the crackling fire casting flickering shadows on the walls. Tyrell and Samantha were away at college, leaving Martin and Smith to face the investigators alone. Naomi, her voice steady but laced with gravity, began to speak. "Martin, Smith," she said, her eyes meeting theirs with unwavering resolve, "we've found something. Something important." Martin, his brow furrowed with concern, leaned forward in his armchair. Smith, ever the optimist, clutched his husband's hand, his eyes wide with anticipation. The room seemed to hold its breath as Naomi continued. "We believe we found the biological mother of Tyrell and Samantha," she said, pausing to let the weight of her words settle. "Her name is June." The revelation hit Martin and Smith like a thunderbolt. Their faces, a canvas of shock and disbelief, betrayed the turmoil within. Martin, always the more reserved of the two, gripped the armrests of his chair, his knuckles whitening. Smith, his usual cheer replaced by a stunned silence, stared at Naomi as if trying to decipher a riddle. "June," Martin whispered, his voice barely audible. "June, from Willow Creek?" Naomi nodded, her expression softening with empathy. "We found hospital records that confirm she gave birth to twins 22 years ago. The dates, the location, it all matches. We can't be certain until we speak with her, but the evidence is compelling." Jacob, who had been quietly observing, added, "We've tracked her down. She's living in a small town about 2 hours from here. She's agreed to meet with us, but we wanted to talk to you first." The room fell silent, the only sound the crackling of the fire. Martin and Smith exchanged a glance, their emotions a tangled mix of hope, fear, and uncertainty. For years, they had raised Tyrell and Samantha as their own, pouring their hearts into every milestone, every triumph, every tear. The thought of their children reconnecting with their biological mother stirred a complex brew of emotions. Joy for the twins' potential closure, but also a quiet dread that their family might change forever. The weight of the past as Naomi and Jacob shared more details, the story of June began to take shape. She had been young, barely 20, when she gave birth to the twins. Her life at the time was a storm of chaos, estranged from her family, abandoned by the twins' father, and struggling with her own demons. The decision to give up her children had not been made lightly. It was a choice born of desperation, a sacrifice to give them a chance at a better life. June had vanished from Willow Creek shortly after, leaving behind only whispers and unanswered questions. Naomi explained that June had spent the intervening years rebuilding her life. She had settled in a quiet coastal town, where she worked as an art therapist, using her talent to help others heal. Yet, the pain of her past lingered, a wound that had never fully closed. When Naomi and Jacob had contacted her, June had been hesitant, her voice trembling as she spoke of the children she had never stopped loving. "She wants to meet them," Naomi said softly. "But she understands that this is their decision, and yours." Martin and Smith sat in stunned silence, grappling with the enormity of the news. The idea that Tyrell and Samantha might soon meet their biological mother was both exhilarating and terrifying. What would it mean for their family? Would the twins feel torn between two worlds? And what of June? Could she handle the emotional weight of reuniting with the children she had given up so long ago? The twins returned the next day. Tyrell and Samantha returned home from college for the weekend, oblivious to the storm brewing in their parents' hearts. The twins burst through the door with their usual energy, Tyrell teasing Samantha about her latest story while she playfully swatted his arm. Their laughter filled the house, a stark contrast to the heavy atmosphere that had settled over Martin and Smith. That evening, over a dinner of roasted chicken and mashed potatoes, Martin and Smith broached the subject. The dining room, usually a place of warmth and chatter, grew quiet as Martin cleared his throat. "Tyrell, Samantha," he began, his voice steady but laced with emotion, "there's something we need to tell you." The twins exchanged a glance, sensing the gravity of the moment. Samantha set down her fork, her eyes narrowing with curiosity. Tyrell leaned back in his chair, his usual grin replaced by a look of cautious intrigue. Martin recounted the visit from Naomi and Jacob, explaining the discovery of their biological mother. He spoke of June, her struggles, and her desire to meet them. As the words spilled out, the twins listened in stunned silence, their expressions shifting from shock to confusion to a flicker of something deeper, hope, perhaps, or fear. Samantha was the first to speak, her voice barely above a whisper. "She wants to meet us? After all this time?" Smith nodded, his eyes glistening. "She does. But it's your choice, both of you. We'll support you, no matter what you decide." Tyrell, usually quick with a quip, remained silent, his gaze fixed on the table. The weight of the revelation pressed down on him, stirring questions he had never dared to ask. Who was this woman who had given them life? Why had she left them? And what would it mean to meet her now, after all these years? The journey to reunion in the days that followed, Tyrell and Samantha wrestled with their decision. They spent hours talking, sometimes with Martin and Smith, sometimes alone, weighing the risks and rewards of meeting June. Samantha, ever the romantic, was drawn to the idea of connecting with her birth mother, imagining a bond that could heal old wounds. Tyrell, more pragmatic, was wary, unsure if he was ready to confront the past. Ultimately, their curiosity won out. With Martin and Smith's blessing, they agreed to meet June, accompanied by Naomi and Jacob. The journey to the coastal town where June lived was a quiet one, the twins lost in their thoughts as the countryside rolled by. Naomi, sensing their unease, offered words of encouragement, while Jacob shared stories of other families he had helped reunite, each one a reminder that this moment, however daunting, was a chance for closure. When they arrived at June's modest cottage, the air was thick with anticipation. The door opened to reveal a woman in her early 40s, her auburn hair streaked with silver, her eyes a mirror of Samantha's. June's hands trembled as she greeted them, her voice soft but steady. "Tyrell, Samantha," she said, her eyes brimming with tears. "I've waited so long for this moment." The meeting was a whirlwind of emotions, awkward at first, then tender, then raw. June shared her story, her voice breaking as she spoke of the pain of giving up her children. She showed them a box of keepsakes, tiny baby blankets, a locket with their birth dates engraved, sketches she had drawn of them in her dreams. Tyrell and Samantha listened, their hearts torn between resentment and compassion. A new chapter. The reunion was not a fairy tale ending, but it was a beginning. Tyrell and Samantha returned to Willow Creek with a new understanding of their past, their bond with Martin and Smith stronger than ever. June remained a part of their lives, not as a replacement for their adoptive parents, but as a piece of the puzzle that made them whole. For Martin and Smith, the journey was a testament to the strength of their family. They had faced the unknown with courage, trusting in the love that had always defined them. Naomi and Jacob, their mission complete, left Willow Creek with a sense of fulfillment, knowing they had helped unravel a mystery that had changed lives. As for Tyrell and Samantha, they carried forward with a newfound sense of identity. The revelation of their origins had shaken them, but it had also grounded them, reminding them that family is not just about blood, but about the choices we make and the love we share. In Beyond the Gates, the story of Tyrell and Samantha is a reminder that the search for truth, however painful, can lead to healing. As the sun sets over Willow Creek, the twins stand together, their hearts full of questions and answers, ready to face whatever lies ahead. We hope you enjoyed it and look forward to sharing more with you in the future. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. TV Soap New and Spoilers for more updates on Beyond the Gates.